to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Tony Granado is going to lead us in prayer.
Father God, look over this board and look over the people on this land as they continue to prosper and do the right things for the village. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Okay, so the first thing we'll have is a roll call.
Trustee Vanello.
Here.
Trustee Garland.
Here.
Trustee Rivera.
Here.
Supervisor Balch.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Okay, and then we have public comment.
All right, Gail Schneider.
Good evening, Supervisor Ballots and trustees. I'm a resident of Township, North Carolina, and live near the open space land on the Tranquina Farm. In July of 2019, Steve Ballots spoke at a township meeting, raising objection to the then concept land that was proposed for the Tranquina Farm. Quoting what Steve Ballots said, in regard, this is from the minutes, July. In regard to the community/event center, Mr. Balloch added, he is concerned about the possibility of people being taxed for this center. While he acknowledges that that may not happen now during the current board's term, which was 2019, he fears it may happen later. He is concerned that an event center of this nature competes with other local or for-profit businesses as well. Mr. Balloch contends that this is then we're going to be a socialist or communist township. He fears, since the state statute says the township may tax the people for a facility of this type, that it could happen in the future. Then in November 2020, an advisory referendum was approved by voters for a pole barn to be built on the Tranquina Farm. Discussions at that time included additional parking for 150 to 300 cars. So here we are in the future, and I would like to know what has changed since then that Supervisor Balloch is now in support of a more intense development on open space, developing it into a commercial level event center with parking for 1,500 cars, which is 5 times more parking than was being discussed in 2019 when he objected to it. Also, I'm curious if everyone who disagrees with him gets called a socialist or communist. As he stated back then, and has recently stated about others, this is a most unprofessional way for an elected official to represent all of his constituency. Residents of Homer Township could let the facts speak for themselves. Please just stick to the issues without getting me. And I'm also concerned about the appointments to the Plan Commission. If I understand it correctly, it looks like everyone on the township board almost is going to be on the Plan Commission. Makes me look at a bad idea, and it's just not a good set of even checks and balances for you to have a Plan Commission proposal. So I think we should have different people on the Plan Commission than are on the township board. Thank you, Bill.
And then Ellen Moriarty.
Gail pretty much covered what I wanted to talk about tonight, so I'll just leave it at that.
Okay, we'll come on to Clerk Vicki Bosa's report. And before we start with Vicki's report, there's a part where we're going to talk about the CBG item number C. Can I get a motion to move that to a later part of the agenda till the person presenting can get here?
I'll start the motion. I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so we'll do that when that person arrives. So they're on the way, so I don't know how long it'll take. So with that, you want to go on to the report?
So for 5A, I live in
second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any nays? Okay, motion passes.
Vicki, outside voice.
Oh, sorry, thank you. Motion to approve the May 19, 2022 special board meeting minutes.
I'll start the motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any nays? Then a motion to approve and to release or not release the May 19, 2022 closed session special board meeting minutes.
A motion.
To release
So what we-
or not release? Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I'm sorry, David, but Supervisor had a question for me, whether it's, I guess, advisable to disclose those. Our usual practice is for the attorney, township attorney, to review closed session minutes and make a recommendation to the board about whether they should release or should not release certain portions of closed session minutes. And it's certainly the board's discretion, but that's the procedure we usually recommend and follow. I wasn't at the May 19th meeting, and wasn't
Right,
at
there's
that
parts
closed
of
session.
it that I thought should be not released, so I was,
It's safer, you're not required to release it every 6 months. The Open Meetings Act requires you to review your closed minutes and make a determination. There's nothing that says you have to release them within a certain time, so my recommendation would be tonight, again, it's a recommendation, to keep them closed
Okay.
until the attorneys can be your Ross or somebody else. So take a look at them and then advise.
I'll motion to keep close.
Close, okay. And then I just need a second.
I'll second.
Okay, Mark. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any nays? Okay, motion passes. Okay, just an update on the Homer Township annual parade. We are still having it June 25th, the morning of June 25th, with the rain date of Sunday, June 26th, the same route along Parker Road. And if you would, for your organization are interested in attending, please email me. We will be accepting applications till June 17th, which, believe it or not, is this Friday already. It's not by fast. Okay. C, we are passing on that until Megan gets here. And then D was the Trantina Farm. I do have, if anybody's interested here, I do have the referendum that was placed on the ballot for the Trantina Farm for the construction of a pole barn. That was actually passed Tuesday, November 3rd, 2020, by the voters of Homer Township. This was put on by the previous administration. It actually passed by a pretty good amount of votes, 13,000 to 7,000, so 13,000 people were in favor of it. And what we are looking to do with the Trantina Farm, and I'm going to actually have Brent talk a little bit more about the grindings and some of the things we would be doing that would probably more than likely be no cost to the township. So Brent, would you mind giving us a little synopsis of that?
Yeah, I'll try to make it simple. I don't know if anybody went to Lockport Canal Days this past weekend. If you look at the ground out there that they got, it's all stone. So they didn't bring in any grindings yet, but it's sufficient to have an event and to support tent traffic and vendors and things of that nature. That's that would be the low end cost of what we would be doing at Trantina Farm. In terms of asphalt, with asphalt prices right now are through the roof, as you would imagine. They're anywhere from $80 to $140 a ton. So with the footprint of parking that we have on the conceptual plan, you're talking anywhere from 8,000 to 10,000 tons of asphalt. Obviously, that's way too much money. So what we have is we have relationships with the villages and municipalities around us, with Lockport, Homer Glen, the county, and the township, road district too, in fact, where we can get grindings for free truck to the site. Therefore, we'd be saving about $70 a ton by having it trucked to the site, and we just have to place it and roll it. So if you're talking 8,000 to 10,000 tons, that's what, 800,000? How's my math? $70 times something like that. Something like
Just round up to
that.
100.
It's just to give you a price point on the money we would save. So, as many of us have stated before, we're not here to raise taxes. We're trying to find a way where we don't have to raise taxes to get this thing to work. We don't want to raise taxes at all. So If the cheap route is just to do gravel, that's what we're gonna do. If we can get grindings and they're placed at a low cost from some extra revenue that the township has, then we're gonna do it. As far as the number of spaces go, the concept plan, I don't think it has 1,500, it has much less than that. But the old event center that had 300 spaces, I have yet to kind of see what they put on the referendum in terms of a layout, things like that. We had a landscape architect put up a rendering, it was in the newsletter, I think, for the summer. It kind of shows the layout, what's included in the layout if you kind of, you gotta look kind of close to it. But there's a couple of pavilions and parking facilities, there's some water features and a lot of vegetation. So it's an open layout, it's all according to zoning, we don't want to change the zoning. It's zone A1 tourism is what it's zoned right now. So it supports what's there now and also an event center. Because right now they have paved roads out there, they have playgrounds out there, they have 2 small paved lots out there and miscellaneous buildings. I think one of the buildings is going to be taken off site and moved to...
Correct. Cornell Farm's going to move it. It's a historic farm.
Yeah, so that's the skinny. There's a lot of things on Facebook that are stated about about the high cost if we increase tax. We got to increase taxes to build it. If we have to increase taxes to build it, we're not going to build it. That's pretty much it in a nutshell. So that's my report on it.
Okay, thanks.
And it's just in the early planning stages. We're not going to get serious about it until we do a financial analysis on what it costs to build it and what our reserves are for revenue for the township, and that's it. So, and I would imagine we'll have workshops and what we should do, and it did pass referendum, so.
I did want to comment one more thing, where the previous administration who wanted to build a pole barn, what we're looking to do to keep it more of an open space feel is that people would actually just rent the space and then rent their own tent and put up a tent, which the tent would then be taken down once their event is finished. Again, not putting up a structure or anything of that nature. So, and of course, that would be lower cost for the township. That was just kind of a report to get everybody up to snuff what's going on with that, because I know there was a lot of misinformation out there.
Point of correction, the referendum.
No question.
The referendum was for a grant.
Okay, thank
No
you.
It was for a grant.
So now we're going to go Reagan.
Oh, correct. Well, wait a minute. Yes, we're going to get grant money on it. We applied for grant money. I don't know how much we're going to get, but we're going to work within the boundaries of the grant money and the reserves that we have. And we're not going to raise taxes. We don't want to do that. So yes, it was to pursue a grant with a pole barn with however many spaces. That was the referendum.
The referendum said that we should go to get a bond if we want. And a bond means more taxes.
Yes.
And so we are not going to get a bond because we're not going to do anything that raises taxes, period. So we have ways to do things without raising taxes. That's the goal. And so the Trantina Farm will have an event center on it, but it just won't be with a pole barn that costs a lot of money. We're going to be doing something different where we don't have to raise property taxes. Because I don't think, there's a lot of people that wanted to have the event center, and we're going to provide one, but it isn't going to be a structure. The structure is where the money comes in. And you know what? I know that some of the people from the other side of the aisle think it's wrong. They would rather have you spend tax dollars, but the majority of the people that live in Homer Township, which includes Homer, Glen, and Lockport, don't want to see their taxes go up anymore. Everybody is struggling, and there's no way that this board is going to vote to raise the taxes. So with that, you finish up.
Yeah, okay, so Reagan, we're talking about the CDBG grant and ARPA funds for Founder Senior Living for the amount of $508,104 for updates on exterior building. And Reagan, excuse me, I didn't interrupt you when you talked, did I? And this is for Reagan Freitag of White & Company will present further information about this grant and funds that we have available to us, hopefully.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. So we were, what we had done, what the company was hired to do was to do an assessment and get cost estimates for the senior housing as well as the town hall building. And we applied first for a community development block grant. We were recently awarded $508,000 towards that project. What CDBG, the overall cost of the project was what was it?
2.2 million.
2.2 million. Now, knowing that grant won't cover everything, it just starts the project. And what then next year, what you guys can do is continually use, it would be a continued project. So each year you would apply again and tell them that you're, still working on this project, and again, go for additional monies on that. Those monies will not be distributed by the county until October, but before then, there's some engineering and designing that needs to be done. The townships, what the Will County Board and Executive decided to do with some of their American Rescue Plan dollars is they're allocating a certain amount of money to townships and fire districts. Homer Township is being allocated $138,000. This is all based on the size of the township or the district. So in about, well, it's due July 1st, they're being a little lenient knowing that, this is new to everyone. Our firm is going to pro bono help do the application with you. We have a meeting set up with administration next week. I've already started filling out the application. I'm very familiar with this process. I've done these American Rescue Plans for different counties and other different organizations. You guys are going to get that money. That money can then be used to pay for the engineer and design services. So everything will be covered. And then once the monies are distributed in October, then that money will be used to actually start to do the repairs on the senior housing. We prioritize that, as well as you guys did, with Kathy Pecora at the county, the roofing, and the skylights. Certain more safety immediate issues will obviously be handled first, and then we'll go down the line from there. That's it.
Thank you, Reagan.
Thank you.
Sure.
And I just want to let everybody know that she's with White Engineering, and she was recommended by the county. And we already voted at one point to have her give us an estimate of what it would cost to fix the old town hall. And so she already had a lot of the stuff done. And her firm was a pleasure to work with, and very professional. And if it wasn't for that firm, I'm not no genius with that stuff, and nobody on my board is either. So they helped us through the process. And how getting government grants out, it's a tedious task. So since I'm on the county board, I knew the right people, and so did she. And so we worked it through, and we got the highest amount of money for our township for this time. So we had $505,000, and that total project, like you said earlier, was $2.2 million. So every year we draw off that $2.2 million. So when people say you only got $500,000, they ain't enough to fix it. Well, that's all we're going to fix this year. Next year we get another batch of money, and then the next year. We keep doing it like we did with the Lockport Heights Sanitary District. It's the same process. And the American Recovery Act money, again, we got to get an application in there. You just don't go in there and say, hey, give me money. They say we can get up to $138,000 in our township. But you got to have the project done with all the information on. They're just not going to give you something. You got to show where it's going and how much it costs. And it's got to fit into the parameters that they say it is. So that's what her company did. They helped us through this process, and thank you very much, because you did a great job.
Thank you.
Thank you, Reagan.
And then just, my job too, there's nothing on the horizon yet, but we're always on, looking out to see what grants are popping up, and you know, whether it's through the state, federal, even at one point, the Will County Bar Association, I'm an attorney, they were giving out small $5,000 grants. So I'm always looking for, you know, monies for our clients. So I'll stay in touch with you if I hear anything else.
Thank you, Rita.
Sure, thank you.
Thank you, Ray.
And that concludes my report then. State of city concern.
Okay, so just so everybody knows what I said, because that's so important, because people are commenting to me and calling me and all these rumors that aren't true. But we got $505,000. That's a lot of money. But we're getting $2.2 million. So that we'll have enough money to finish the project. And it'll be done right. So enter that into the fact books for certain people. Okay, then we have a planning commission right now, and it's all the township trustees. And we've had it since, I think, May. Is that when it was?
I believe it may, yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was May. Anyway, I decided that since we're going to start getting a lot more planning commission things, that it was more appropriate to include the whole board. Since we have to vote on this stuff, if you include the whole board, you'll have a better understanding of the projects. And, you know, like the trustees and me, yeah, we could do it. But I'd rather have more input, so we included the whole board. And so the motion is to add Vicki Bozen, Brent Porfilio, Carmen Morella, Mark Garland, and Angel Shea to the Planning Commission, joining with 3 prior trustees. And the reason there's 3 because Angela Adolph resigned and Mark Garland is replacing her, so Mark's the new trustee. So basically, it's our entire board. So I'd like to get a motion for that.
A motion. I'll second the motion.
Okay, I can just do it all in favor, right?
I think you have to vote.
Roll call. Okay, I'll do a roll call on that. Trustee Garwin?
Yes.
Trustee Bonomo?
Yes.
Trustee Rivera?
Yes.
And Supervisor Lodge?
Yes.
Okay, motion passes.
Okay, the next one is a planning commission type thing. It's a zoning case ZC 22015. And we need a motion to approve or reject rezoning of the property on 159th Street from A1 to C2 to I1 for a special use permit for a self-service outdoor storage facility, wanting a variance in the building height from 12 feet to 28 feet, and the floor area from 600 square feet to 700 square feet. And I went out there and looked at it. I went with Carmen Morella. We talked about it. The biggest problem, besides being a warehouse, we do not want warehouses in Homer Township. But when you change something to I1, that means that somebody else, because now there's a precedent, that means that everything on 159th Street can become industrial, and that means warehouses. So if we want to have what Lockport has, where you go down every street along the expressway, there's a warehouse. We pass stuff like that. And that's why I wanted our whole board involved with this stuff, because I don't want that kind of stuff. Right? I don't think anybody in this room wants warehouses. We already have problems with the trucks. We're still fighting about them going into people's grass and knocking over mailboxes and putting ruts everywhere. So I'm looking for a motion to reject.
I'll start that motion.
I'll second it.
Okay, I'll take a roll call on that. Trustee Garwin?
No.
Well,
No.
yes, you want to
Just
reject
roll
it,
call. Yes, we want to reject it.
right? You
Yeah.
want to reject it, so that's a yes?
Yes.
Okay. Trustee Rivera?
Yes, reject
Trustee Bonomo?
it. Yes.
And Supervisor Lodge?
Yes.
Okay, motion passes to reject the rezoning of the property from A1C2 to I1.
Okay, the next one is a motion to approve or reject the Steely Company Corporation to rezone the property at 13761 Archery Avenue in Lamont to add an administrative office building. Steel Corporation will present the information.
Michael was here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was gonna call them up. I looked at it, and Carmen Morello looked at it, and we don't see any problem with it. So just so you guys know, we went to the site and looked, and they're gonna present it.
Thank you, Supervisor Malich. I'm Mike Martin, Don Martin Miller, Joliet here. It's about a 2-acre site, slightly less. We don't know what the past use was. We thought it was originally commercial, my client did. What he's looking to do is he's seeking, he's filed a map amendment application with the county, seeking to rezone the property from its current R1 zoning to C1 zoning. C1 zoning is the standard commercial district. Even though it is a trucking company, trucks are not going to be present on the property. It's simply an administrative building. I did email out an updated site plan that we finalized this morning. We're going to do the only really outside exterior work we're planning to do is we're going to redo the parking lot and have striped parking. They'll have about 8 to 10 employees. It's an 8 to 5 shop hour-wise during the week. People won't be there on the weekend. It is the first property east when you get off Archer Avenue off 355. So from a long-range planning, it does kind of make sense to have commercial property along 355, especially at the interchanges. And I know there's always concerns about trucks. I do represent some trucking companies and so forth, but this is not a truck logistics center. It's an admin building. If you've ever been to the site, the truck can't access it. The driveway goes straight out. But if you have any questions or anything, I'd be happy to answer them. Other than that, we have been assigned a zoning case. I did speak to county staff today. I don't know when we're going to go in front of the full county board. I anticipate I'll know that no
Probably
more.
next month.
Maybe 2 months out. They're still reviewing. We submitted all our application documents, so I don't know if it'll be next month or the month after, just depending on their schedule too. So.
Okay.
Any questions? I'd be happy to answer.
You guys got any questions?
Thank you for staying on the township, and this is a good to demonstrate here for a long time.
You guys want to make a motion to approve this project?
I'll approve it. I'll start the motion.
I'll second it.
We'll take a roll call. Trustee Rivera.
Yes.
Trustee Vanilla.
Yes.
Trustee Garwin.
Yes.
Supervisor Malich.
Yes.
Okay, motion passes. Thank you, Michael.
Okay, just for FYI to everybody here, our spring newsletter went out, and I thought it was real nice, and everyone that worked on it did a real good job. So thank you guys, and God bless you. Okay, now we'll move on to Highway Commissioner Rapopilio.
Yeah, I got a number of items to go through, but before I go through it, I have a few other things I want to offer. With the Planning and Zoning Commission, I served on lock boards for 14 years. I have a pretty good background when it comes to Planning and Zoning Commission work, cases, things that happen during meetings, protocols, how you run the meetings, everything. So I'm just speaking for myself on people doubting nominating me for the Planning Commission. One other thing too is they're a recommending body. They don't vote to pass anything. Once they approve something or even reject it, there's an ordinance that the city council or board drafts to either reject or approve the zoning change. So they're just a recommending body is all they are. And having Carmen on there with myself with 2 different backgrounds helps the background of looking at each case from different viewpoints, from people who have different jobs, do different things for a living. It looks at different viewpoints, which is very important that there's no bias by anybody on the Planning Commission. I served under 3 mayors. We had probably 30 to 40 people that served on the Planning Commission from all different backgrounds, whether they were red or blue, or whether they were pro-mayor or anti-mayor, but we always made it work with no bias. Each person gave their own report, what they thought of the case, and then that was the end of it. There was, of course, a lot of spirited large groups on some of the cases, but you got to look at the facts and you got to base your decision on the facts of the case. You can't bias yourself one way or the other. It's very important you don't do that. So I think there's a good group of people on the Planning Commission, and I think there should be separate Planning Commission meetings on cases.
So there'll be,
Yes.
we have done it. And by the way, I didn't say it, but I've been on the Will County Land Use Committee for 9 years.
Okay. Good.
So, and that's the last step before it gets to the county board. So it goes to planning and zoning, and then that's advisory, then it comes to us, and We hear it, and a lot of times we do what planning and zoning wanted, and a lot of times we don't. But the last step before the county board is my committee, and we look at all the laws, just like Brent was saying. And it's real important to really understand land use, because there's a lot of technicalities in it that most people can't know because they wouldn't have to know. So our board is going to be good. Between the three of us, we have a lot of experience. And the other people, Matt Conley, he's a project manager. So he gets it because he builds stuff. Rob's in the HVAC business. Mike's in another business. So I'm an Angel, she's just smart. But, you know, but what I'm trying to say is we come from a diverse background, but we have really a ton of experience with this stuff when you put everybody together. So I'm confident that this is going to be a real good group.
So one thing I would just say is that everybody on this list, including ourselves, have lived in this town for, I would say on average, 20 plus years. So we have a vested interest in this town, and we talk to so many people. So we incorporate more than just our own thoughts, but we try to get our thoughts from other people as well when we bring it to the table. So I think it's a good thing for the township.
So
I'll go back to Brent. I'm sorry, Brent.
So before I'm done with this topic, there should be a zoning code book provided to everybody. They need to become familiar with it. I don't know if there's a zoning code book right now that exists for the township, but that's important. And I believe we have a comprehensive plan.
Right.
You got to follow the zoning that there is right now. There's got to be a good case to change the zoning. So I mean, you don't want to spend a lot on attorney's fees. You can get sued if there's an allowed land use and you vote against it. And you can go through a lot of money. And he would be happy, but we wouldn't be happy. The taxpayer would be happy, of course.
Happy if you're not. Okay.
We're going to keep it out of the legal. Another thing too, I got a stack of cards up here. A lot of people are contacting me through Facebook posts and things like that. The most efficient way to get the road district to do something for you is to call me, 301-0246. There's a big sign down the street with the number. My email is on here. Please take a card. Whether it's something new that's coming up, and please let me know after the meeting if this is an issue, is at T intersections, we're having sight distance problems. So when you pull up to the main street off your side road and you're looking both ways at the oncoming traffic, there's a sight triangle that starts about 10 feet off the stop bar and goes a couple of 100 feet in either direction. And if there's any trees that are hanging in the way or bushes that are blocking your view, let me know. And if it's a problem, you know, I'll look it up. If it's going to be in the road district, unincorporated area, we will take care of it. If it's not, we will try to point you in the right direction on whose jurisdiction it is. You know, we have county, Lockport, Lamont, Lennox, Homer Glen. We got a lot of different people that have different jurisdictions. If you're confused, there's a jurisdiction map on the Highway Department website that shows what's unincorporated, what's the road district. So please, you know, let me know about things like that. Other things, if you have drainage problems with your culverts, if they're clogged up or sunken in or broken. If you have issues with your ditches that the water's just sitting in there and they're not draining. If there's roadkill out in front of your house. If you're having issues with your driveway or your sidewalk that's in the road district right of way, call me and tell me. There are people on Facebook that are showing me these things, but the best way to do it is to call my office so we can develop a work order. That way I can track it every week, and if stuff's not done, I can enforce it. I can't be on Facebook all day looking at all the posts trying to chase people around. I'm not going to do that. The most efficient way is to call my office. That's very important. Okay. All right, now, so the items on the agenda. As you know, the road district facility was constructed as simply a shell, and it wasn't useful for the administration to do their business or operations. So there was 3 projects that we let out this spring to bid. One is for the building build out on the inside of the building. We have no bathrooms, we have no offices, we have no storage rooms, we have no water, we have no sewer. The build out on the inside of the building is going to be complete, I think, next month, Dave?
About mid-July.
Okay, mid-July. The water and sewer utility trench that brings water and sewer to the building, that's completed. Austin Tyler did a pretty good job. They did it in a few weeks. The paving contract is next by PT Farrell. They're going to start paving after Homerfest, so it doesn't disrupt the parking area in front of the building. That's probably going to take 4 to 8 weeks. So those are the 3 contracts that were just bid out for the facility build-out. The roadway program update. Every year we're going to try to do about a mile of streets. And each mile of streets is going to cost anywhere from $100,000 to $200,000. This year, Forest Manor was the worst conditioned streets, so they're fixed first. We're going to be putting it out to bid this week. I just got the full technical pavement workup on it. We're looking at construction in July and August in Forest Manor. There were some people on Facebook posting some broken down curb and stuff by Forest Manor. There's 21 miles that I have to deal with in the district. The worst sections get paved first every year. So that's kind of how I do it. If you're trying to go fix a little piece of curb here and there, it's not the efficient way to do it because you're going to have to pay for a whole labor crew to go out there and pay for a concrete truck with 10 yards of concrete in the truck, and you're only going to do a little piece of curb. You got to do it in groups. That's the most efficient and cost-effective way to do it. That's why I do the things I do to save money. Farrell Road improvements. I don't know if anybody has been over in Lockport, but Farrell Road, there's 0.8 miles of Farrell Road is the road district, believe it or not. And so right now they're going from south of Bruce Road all the way up to 151st Street. They're doing a mill and overlay, they're doing a curb and gutter replacement for the bad sections. They're replacing the bad sections of sidewalk. They're putting in new ADA compliant ramps at the corners. How it affects us, of course, not only that, but 167th Street, it's closed right now. I don't know if anybody has noticed that. And Bruce Road too, they're going to both be closed for a month. Bruce Road is first and 167th is next. They're going to be putting in tunnels underneath those 2 streets for the new 355 bike trail. They're saying they're going to be done in a month with each crossing. I don't know how their progress is. They're supposed to be calling me and telling me, but that's what's going on with that. So we're hoping they get it done in the next 2 months. Along Gauger Road, you'll see people are working on the east side of Gauger Road from 159th Street to 163rd. There's going to be a bike trail spur put in there. They got to put in new drainage, they got to put in retaining walls, they got to regrade the trail in there, and it's going to link up with the north. There's going to be a north side bike trail eventually along 159. So that's the 355 bike trail. We do have an IGA with the Forest Preserve District of Will County and with the city of Lockport for that project. I wanted to make sure that we were protected against some of the dangers of them making us do maintenance on a lot of their facilities. That's not the case. Mike DeVivo signed an IGA before my time. I reviewed it. There were some incorrect pieces to it, so I overrode that and we signed a new IGA to protect us. Next item, special needs grant. Bridget Albert was the awardee. I just got the check from Homeland Ability Awareness Committee. I had to route the money through them for tax purposes. So we're calling the press and a couple of people that helped with the award with the PR part of it, and we're going to present it to her at her house. It's going to be in the next 2 weeks. No balloons and a big check, and we got some candy baskets we're going to give her. So it should be a fun time. Item F. I think I mentioned this already. If you have a need for work in the district right-of-way, which goes from back of walk to back of walk, or if you look up in the air, you see the ComEd lines, that's usually on the edge of the right-of-way. If you have any issues with culvert replacements, ditch regrading, roadway patching, mailboxes, if your mailboxes are hit, somebody in Founders Crossing, there was a mailbox that was hit that needs to be repaired. Tell me so I can get on top of it. And lastly, Tamerlane Drive, I'm going to be meeting with the residents. Next week I'm trying to get a meeting with them to make the final decision on their street and mitigating truck and traffic speeding issues on their street. And that's everything I got.
Thank you, Brent. Now we have Assessor Carmen Morella.
Hello, everybody. Just to go back with the Planning Commission, I was under Bud Fazio, was actually on the planning commission with Kathy Boo and Chris Locatius for several years, so it was kind of a joy. And that zoning book is quite big, just so you know. But going forward, SB 1975 was signed into order at the State Legislation Public Act 102-895. That act basically changed our exemptions for assessing, so only in the Collier County, so you're talking DuPage, Kane, Lake, McHenry, and Will. The biggest thing about this whole change, it is not being advertised that it is happening in 2024. So it's going to be an assessed value of 23, but it will not take effect until 2024. We have been notified by county and state that we need to get that out there so people understand. We already are feeling out calls because a lot of people watch the news and know what's going on. This changes assessed value. This does not change tax levy. This has nothing to do with the taxing side of the, just the assessment side of the property. What's moving up is your general homestead exemption is going to go from 6,000 to 8,000, and then the senior homestead exemption is going to go from 5,000 to 8,000. So it's a significant increase. It will help our seniors. But what people, misconstrue is this changes your taxing levy, and that's not what happens here. This is the assessed value of the property. In a lot of cases, assessed value of property, if I get a $5,000 reduction, it doesn't mean the tax levy stops at my home. It kind of affects all the other homes. So we always are fearful with assessing because, we have to keep it equitable and fair for everybody in the community, and that's what we work hard at. We have been getting some calls on some soft appeals. We ended those on June 1st. We also will accept those until July 1st. What we do is we sit with residents and we kind of go through their home assessment, and then they bring in 3 other assessments that we can look at, and we look at where they might be over-assessed or under-assessed, because sometimes that's an issue also. And a lot of times, when we get to talking, instead of bringing it to the board review and costing residents extra money, we try to save the residents money and look at everybody's assessment, and it kind of helps. Because a lot of people don't understand that the assessment office is just there to assess value. That's all we are. We don't do anything with taxing. If you guys wanted to talk to a taxing body, you can speak to them. Other than that, I have nothing else to report.
Okay, we'll move on to number 9, accounting. I need a motion to approve all payment of bills for April 2022, Founders Bond, Founders Crossing General Assistance, Open Space, Park Developer Contribution, Park, Town, Road and Bridge, and Equipment and Building.
I'll make a motion to approve. I'll second.
Take a roll call. Trustee Garland?
Yes.
Trustee Rivera?
Yes.
Trustee Vanello?
Yes.
Supervisor Ballas?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Then we have another item that we're going to have to do a line item transfer for insurance because our TORMA came in a lot higher than we anticipated. So we were off a little bit. So motion to approve a line item transfer of budget appropriation, reassessment of appropriated line items within the Founders Crossing General Fund, Founders Crossing General Fund, transferring from the unexpended balance on line item 990 contingencies, the total sum of $2,856.00 to be added to the line item 737, liability TORMA, in the same fund, in the same amount of $2,856. We got a motion on that?
I'll start the motion. I'll second it.
Okay, roll call. Trustee Rivera?
Yes.
Trustee Vanello?
Yes.
Trustee Garland?
Yes.
Supervisor Ballas?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, there's no new business, and old business there's nothing really there other than check out our website. And we've had some problems with our website, so if you try to go on there, we had an ongoing problem for quite some time. And it's being looked into, and we will get it fixed. There's no executive session, so I have a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn. I'll start the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any nays? All right, motion passes. Thank you all.